Hi and welcome back to the Next Level Art Vlog. If you're new here, my name's Leigh Wilson. I'm glad you could join me, and today I've got some pretty cool stuff to show you actually. We'll be talking all about sketching. I've had a week of that so far, sketching daily. I've got a painting to show you, that's going to be awesome. Studio build, that's still going along okay. I'll give you a few glimpses of that as well. And I'll get out and about down Salamanca market, so I'll be able to show you just a little bit of that as well. So an action-packed episode, so if you don't want to miss a thing, you really need to subscribe along, hit the bell notification so you get the next episode as soon as it lands. So and look, if you want to take your painting to that next level, then please join along my journey. Well, it's time to get into it. Let's get into this episode. Okay, the sketching process for me is actually quite a simple one. I've had no real training at all on sketching. All I know how to do is move the pencil backwards and forwards, that's it. So for me it's all about value. And by value I mean how dark or how light the subject is. For example, the nose of the dog, it's a little bit darker in places, so the nostril's really dark, so that tiny bit of nostril is a dark value, and the tip of the nose, which is shiny, I'll leave that basically alone. Let the white paper make that tip of the nose shine. So this is my number one principle only for getting something realistic. It's basically that principle. The only other thing I'd say is it's the direction of the pencil marks. Now this horse that's about to come to life on this page here, I basically did that principle. It's just the strokes in the right direction and the right lightness or darkness. So what you leave light, what you want to do darker by pressing a little bit harder, creates the actual shape. So it's a really basic principle. And it's one, if you haven't really done a lot of drawing, I suggest just try. Just copy a subject and really look at the face, see what's dark, what's light. Now the edges are normally darker. I mean, that's a basic principle, but I mean, it just depends where the light's coming from. That plays a part too. So literally draw your subject as you see it and try to put the darks in the dark spots you see it. And just trust that process, because you will get something that looks good out of that. That's all I'm doing. I haven't been trained to sketch, or I haven't looked at any books. It's literally just out of my head. Now starting off a drawing, basically do some construction lines. So sketch out the outer areas of the subject lightly, so you can hardly just see it on the page, and then you just build up from there. Now some people do a light underdrawing first, so this whole subject will be drawn very lightly shaded all over. Now I've gone straight in and done the head almost how it is, and then built the body around it. But you know, look, that's something I do, but having a lighter subject first and you add the darks in over the top, that works very well as well. To depict bark and tree stumps, etc., roots, it's literally just sort of erratic mark making, like nothing's really set lines or shaded correctly in a row. It's just different marks in different directions to create that bark, while also following the same value principle that we mentioned earlier. So tackling larger drawings, more intricate, this is a very rocky stream. It was very difficult for me. I tried to follow these same principles as earlier on, and especially difficult when you're really just using one pencil, no smudging, no rubbing, so it's literally just pencil marks. It can get a bit overwhelming and a bit heavy-handed in places if you do it this way, but I think it ended up okay. Look, you know, it definitely can be improved. Like, I'm not a master drawer by any stretch of the imagination, but you know, you just do the best you can at the time, and that's what you produce. You know, you're ready to hop into the next one, you know, and improve. So you learn things as you go, and I think I probably overdid certain portions of this drawing. Now, my one pencil principle here for these drawings is simple: just master the pencil. That's all I'm trying to do. It's a HB pencil, it's a no-name brand. I think it's got a stylus on the other end of it. It's really a cheap pencil, but you know, it seems to work. You just do your best you can with it. It teaches you a lot.
Stop now, isn't it strange to have a safe and home? To let go and days until a second go. If you're gonna make a change, you have to let me know. Turn the shit around, just not adopt the loans. It's all you need to do.
Well, it's time to down the pencil and show you a bit of the studio build. It's time to get into a painting, and This one, look, I've already blocked in with acrylics, and it's probably had a couple of passes with acrylics just to get it to this point. Now this scene is of Cradle Mountain in the distance there, and I really like this rocky outcrop that was sort of a different vantage point to the usual Cradle Mountain scene of Tasmania. And I'm working from a photo reference which is actually on a laptop almost directly beside me, and I'm following it quite closely using those same principles that I explained to you earlier with my drawing. I literally just do values, try to mimic the values I see, and look, I don't always get the colour right, and I can't stress this enough that value is always more important than colour. So you can be slightly off on the colour, but if you're off on the value, the painting will sort of look wrong, it won't quite work. So always pay attention to how light or how dark you need something. That is really the holy grail. Now this layer I'm using oil paints, Micheal Harding oil paints, and the colours are titanium white, Prussian blue, ultramarine blue, red umber, scarlet lake, yellow lake, and phthalo green. So that's it, limited palette, and it's all you really need to get going. You don't need a million colours. Yes, it might be easier to paint with if you've got more colours, especially if you're new to colour mixing. Buying more colours will help you achieve a better result straight away. However, it doesn't teach you colour mixing as well as starting off with your basic colours. So it's a double-edged sword. You can start with more colours and make it slightly easier for yourself, or you can start off with less colours and learn colour mixing on the fly, and it'll take you a bit longer to get the results you need. But in the long run, you do learn colours. And if you are new to painting, really go out, get yourself a colour wheel as well. You know, the opposite to a colour is really important in a painting. Desaturates the colour that you're working on. If it's too overpowering, throw that opposite colour in and you've got it back to where you want it. So go and grab yourself a colour wheel, highly recommend that. Now the painting I'm showing you here today, I've really concentrated on the sky for you here, and to show you how long it takes me to build up my sky to how I want it, and it's really just a look that I want. You know, you can stop at any stage that you're happy with. You know, if you really like the look of it as it is, you know, that's fine. You know, I've just really want to create a lot of depth in this sky and a lot of interest. It's not a huge canvas, and there's not a lot happening. There's a lot of rocky outcrop here. I'm trying to balance that detail by adding more detail into the sky. I know that seems counterintuitive, but I'm pointing the sky down to the rocks, and the rocks point up to that point where it meets the sky. So for me, the focal point is sort of around the area of that point where the sky meets the rocks, a bit below that, third of the painting along, and I'm trying to lead the viewer back down to the rocks, and from the rocks leading up to that point. Now I always try to show you as much real-time painting as I possibly can in my videos, and it's something I really want to do. I think people like to see it, but without boring you to death. So some of this painting I will step back into a bit of a time lapse towards the end here, just to move it along, but nearly all this sky actually I show you real time. I think it's important for people to see, you know, proper painting rather than just time lapses. You can't make much out of a time lapse. So if you do watch most of my painting videos, a lot of them will be real time. Now while I'm shaping the sky and shaping the clouds, I do a bit of a dance, is what I like to describe it, between light values and my dark values, the darker parts of the sky. I'll jump around. Generally, a lot of people just do all the darks in the sky at once and then go back and do the lights, build it that way. Well, I'm a little bit more erratic with my skies. I like to have the image emerge sort of on the fly. I know that's sort of a bit hard to explain to people, but I'll have a basic idea for the sky, but I'll float between the lights and the darks till I get it thinking, wow, that's sort of working. I'll leave that and I'll move on to the next area. Now, while I'm just mucking around this sky, I'd like to talk a little bit about my painting journey. I've been painting for almost close to 5 years now. Look, I'm not a full-time artist, so I don't paint every single day. I'd try to, but it's not possible for me. I paint night times and weekends, so I don't have as many hours at the canvas as a lot of people. So 5 years to me is not someone who's been painting for 5 solid years. But I am working extremely hard to do whatever I can to improve my painting, hence the sketching. So if you follow Andrew Tischler, he started the sketch endeavour on Instagram, and if you follow that hashtag, you'll see my posts there as well. And speaking of Instagram, you can find me on Instagram as well, Leigh_Wilson_artist. And he talks about 10,000 hours of sketching before you're a master, or 10,000 hours of anything before you're a master. That's a long time. And look, I started off doing an hour a day sketching, and I've already bumped that to 2 hours a day. And the last couple of nights I've been doing 3 hours a night. And sketching helps your painting because you're basically rendering things how you would render painting. It teaches you value. It's probably the best way to teach yourself value is drawing, because you're using black and white, and there's no hiding from black and white. It's literally the hardest thing to render. You can hide a lot of things with colour to a degree, so I do recommend you jumping into doing as much drawing as you can, especially if you're a realistic style painter, like I like to be. So that really will improve your painting. Now, another thing that will improve your painting, I believe it's essential for people wanting to sell their art, is getting around your local art galleries, seeing what's hanging on the walls. Now, why I showed you a little bit of Salamanca Market is that's the art precinct of Hobart, basically, in those buildings along the side there. And I basically walked through the galleries and had a good look around at what was hanging on the walls. And I'm not put off by what I'm seeing. It just makes you work harder to be able to either get my painting on the walls or to show me what sort of quality is needed to get my work out there. And I'm just pushing as hard as I can now to make that happen. So my idea from now on is once a month I'll be walking around the galleries and checking out what's hanging on the walls and looking for inspiration. And it's not so that I can really bug the people there to put my art on the wall. That's not my reason for doing it. I might be at a level that's pretty, reasonable, but for me personally, I'm not 100% happy with what I'm producing just yet, and that's all that matters. I'm not ready for a gallery. I want to make better art and more of it. When time comes, I'll know personally but I believe that that's just part of the process of learning. Learn what's in there, what's selling, and what moves, and what inspires you, and what's out there, what your competition is basically. So even though they're selling in a gallery, you are competing with those people. So as you can see here, it's taken me quite a while to build up the sky, but you can sort of see what I'm trying to do here. Trying to give these wispy clouds a bit of depth to the top of the sky, a bit of a glow behind Cradle Mountain. Yes, I do end up painting over a bit of the mountain while I'm brushing this through, but I have to redo that anyway. Well, I pretty much nailed the sky how I wanted it. I just felt it still needed a bit warming up in the sky. The same with the rocks, it all looks a bit cool, but we'll address that in the next session. See here how I set up myself for painting this scene. I'm literally copying from a laptop almost directly beside the canvas. It's really a good way to go. There's one caveat though: make sure that what you see on the screen is how you want your painting. So if it's too cool, you can warm it up with your editing software. Get the picture how you want it looking from the screen, because that's what you're working from. Well, that nearly wraps up this one for this episode, and thanks very much for watching. Please subscribe along to my journey, like the video if you like what you saw, and please leave a comment. It's great to hear from everyone. So thanks for watching. See you in the next one.